Hello and welcome to episode 187 of Prose. This week, we have another themed week of sorts, the focus being relevance of perspective and reality, with one story looking at the power of viewpoint and the other asking whether adventure is even possible anymore. As always, I would love for listeners to come join in on Prose's social media via all platforms under the name @ProsePodcast. Also, the best way to really help the show is by leaving a rating or review on iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, or on any podcast service. Ratings and reviews are what help others find the podcast. For easiest access to the show, subscribe using iTunes/Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or whatever podcast catcher is your favorite. Thanks for listening. Let's get to the tale, shall we? This week we have We Are a Spasm of Civilization by frequent Prose contributor and voice actor Elizabaeth Peterson, and Experience the Culture. Enjoy. We Are a Spasm of Civilization by Elizabaeth Peterson.
We are a spasm of civilization.
The couple argues on their way into Walmart. The student logs into JSTOR in her library cubicle. The newly appointed boss hosts a fancy dinner to impress his team.
We find civilization in industry.
The woman wears a TJ Maxx dress with Old Navy sunglasses and a pair of Tevas. As she insists that Walmart has cheaper groceries than Market Basket, her husband hunches his shoulders in his LL Bean shirt. His jeans are American Eagle, the only brand that fits him correctly. And he shuffles along in his Adidas sneakers. The student prides herself on living out of the mainstream. She taps away on her MacBook laptop with a Go Green case made out of recycled water bottles. Her hands are free to type because the sleeves of her Etsy shirt are rolled up to her elbows. Her shorts are thrifted, but they originated at the Gap. Her friend made her beaded sandals with materials from Michael's craft store. Her hair is pulled tightly back with a CVS label hair scrunchie that she borrowed from her sister. The young boss has consulted Martha Stewart and Oprah magazines for party tips. He has been recording the Today Show for their housekeeping segments. He successfully ordered nice cutlery and dinnerware from Amazon, and Stop & Shop has provided all of the necessary food for the occasion. Dressed head to toe in a tailored suit from Jack Wills, he prepares to welcome his guests.
We take pride in commercialism.
The woman trusts Dunkin' Donuts over the general store's coffee, and she joins the masses by ordering a medium frozen Dunkachino in line at the Dunkin's at Walmart. Her husband has lost the Market Basket fight, and while his wife waits in line, he eyes the ties. He saw a certain tie in Walmart's most recent Father's Day ad, and he hopes they have the same pattern in stock. The student knows it looks good that she goes to a big-name school. She couldn't stand to spend 4 years writing a thesis on a topic that maybe, if she's lucky, 5 people will care about, so she has adjusted her pitch to make it more accessible. On the days she feels like giving up, she reminds herself of the professor who said she couldn't do it, and she posts an inspirational pic to her Instagram page. #hardcore studying. #Hogwarts life. She'll get 499 likes and text her friend to like it, so it's an even 500. The boss welcomes his guests with the lines he read in Oprah magazine. As his team comes in smiling and chatting, he marvels at how Oprah always knows exactly what to say. Their new app will make millions, they chatter optimistically. Billions, maybe. This is exactly the type of buzz he wants. The marketing team has done their job well. Before they eat, he proposes a toast to our future, to technology.
We live steeped in perspective.
The Walmart is 10 minutes from their house in Maine. She grew up there and he grew up half an hour away, just over the state border. She knows the layout of her Walmart like the back of her hand. She finds it reassuring that Walmarts don't change much from state to state. Their honeymoon was in Rhode Island, 3 states away. They had gone on a camping trip with Walmart tents and they ate McDonald's under the stars. It was the farthest she had ever been from her hometown, and the world seemed limitless. Their life together had endless potential. Maybe next year they would take a trip to Connecticut. Sometimes the student spirals away in her mind. She moves so quickly from what is my internet password to what is my purpose in life that she doesn't have time to process the jump. She keeps hold of reality, but her eyes strain with the pressure she puts on herself in the tiny font of some of the JSTOR articles. This is her first time in a foreign country, and she's left with her thoughts more than she's used to. It's a miracle that she gets anything written. She prefers the research to the part where she creates her own ideas. It gives her less of an existential crisis. He has traveled to 50 different countries and countless cities, but something keeps bringing him back to Seattle. San Francisco has some pull as his hometown, and he fondly remembers the time he spent in Tokyo. But despite the futuristic lure of Japan, Seattle still feels like the startup capital of the world. Now that he is settled, he is happy to be in charge of an app that makes the world feel as vast and as small as it does in his travels. He smiles at his diverse team. He is struck by how many languages they must speak between them, both computer languages and otherwise. And here they all are, in his rooftop apartment, all sharing a meal in one language to celebrate going global.
We are a moment. The next moment is respite.
The couple is back in their cottage that they built by hand. She unloads the groceries and recycles the Walmart bags as he sits in his chair. He admires the impressive buck's head over the fireplace and fondly remembers the day he brought it home. They can hear the peepers starting their chorus over the soft hum of the outdoors. He turns on Jeopardy and keeps it on mute as she starts dinner in the kitchen. He gets his pad of paper ready to start tallying their Jeopardy score for the night. A soft glow comes from their house in the woods and illuminates the murmuring forest. The rabbits find their burrows. The chipmunks chirp softly and sleepily. The owl opens its eyes. She falls asleep on her laptop. When she wakes up, she will have a keyboard imprint on her cheek. Her document is closed, so she will not be typing gibberish as she sleeps. A text from her mom waits on her phone. She dreams of primary sources. In her dreams, she is able to push aside the deadlines and build new worlds. Her rhythmic breathing is the loudest sound on the quiet floor of the library. A postgrad in the cubicle next to her puts down his reading glasses and closes his book. She stirs in her sleep. She has been in the library for 13 hours. Life goes on outside of the library, but for now she is lost in slumber. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. She sleeps more soundly than she has in months. His cheeks are flushed with pride and wine. His team departs and he is on his own, safely on his IKEA couch, looking over the sparkling city. He runs his finger around the rim of the glass still in his hand, and it rings faintly. He knows he has a good product. His team is capable and excited. He wonders how many of the apartments lit up in the cityscape would be using his app in a few short months. After he shuts the curtain, he impulsively reaches into his pocket and turns off his phone. It goes off with a short beep. He watches the fake candles on the table flicker with perfectly timed irregularity. Watching the candles, he starts to let go of the stress he had been harboring all week. His planning has paid off. He has what it takes to manage this team, and after this dinner, he has proved it to them and himself. He bypasses the Kindle on the side table and goes straight for the bookshelf. He wraps himself in the words of his favorite book as the city buzzes with light. Thank you for listening to We Are a Spasm of Civilization by frequent guest author Elizabaeth Peterson. Miss Peterson, as many of you know, has appeared on the show as a voice actor a couple times now. Miss Peterson is an educator, mathematician, and playwright who can be found between New England, Scotland, and Canada. She likes logic and words, and her favorite words are
syzygy, eleemosynary,
and
logodedaily.
You can read her theater reviews and thoughts on the world at her website, mathematicalmedievalist.wordpress.com. The musical tracks in the background of this story come from freesound.org and freemusicarchive.org. They are both being used under CC 0 Universal Public Domain Dedication licenses. Next up, please stay tuned for Experience the Culture, a look at whether or not travel and true engagement with the world is even possible in this modern age. Experience the Culture by Jared I. McGee. Tourism. It is such an odd thing. Small, decrepit, rich old white men, sagging and hobbling, huffing and wheezing, willing themselves to go forth and reconquer this heathen land, taming all the peoples, flora and fauna in the process. Equally small, equally decrepit, equally rich old white women, shuffling through the stalls of markets in Zanzibar, Kingston, Manila, Shanghai, Aguas Calientes, bartering the locals down to pennies on the dollar, ensuring they get the best deal while the locals don't take advantage of their imperial overmistresses. The same well-worn paths are traveled by all the would-be adventurers. Those overly geared droves feeling heightened feelings of self-importance and self-discovery as they disembark their coach buses and adventure into what they consider the wilds. The same foodstuffs, once novel turned a cliched mirror, are consumed en masse. Surprised faces showing that they can't believe that those ants, that cassava cake, that guinea pig is indeed edible and indeed relatively scrumptious. The mass commodification of the people and the places of the world seem a foregone conclusion. Doesn't everyone want prosperity after all? Isn't money the only form of prosperity that matters after all? Bobbleheads of the Queen of England. Shell necklaces made right on the coast of Florida. Woolen hats. Llama t-shirts, pyramid and Eiffel Tower paperweights, and on and on and on and on and on and on. If all of these offerings are grotesque falsehoods of a reality that is only seen but through a mirror half darkly, then where is the real? Where can one actually experience a culture, a food, a people, a feeling? Where can one actually commune with the past or with nature without structure, a branding, a veneer of the money-making aims of we unworthy stewards of the world? Most true adventurers will tell you that those places exist no more. The world has been watered down and made to be a pale, ever-dimming reflection of what it could be. In truth, much as Charles Williams suggests in his fictions, our reality is just a shimmer of a greater light, as Plato teaches. Our majestic lions are nowhere near the majesty of the lions with a capital L. Our towering mountains are completely diminutive when set next to the mountains, the real mountains with a capital M. And so it goes on into eternity. One cannot find those real adventures. Once upon a yesteryear, this dimness was a bit less prominent, but millennia of our touch on the world and on ourselves has made for no resounding substantive answer or antidote to the wanderlust that underscores the searching human experience. We, or fate or God, have doomed us all to an endless wandering, an interminable pursuit of the indefinable, the unfindable, the non-existent, the elsewhere. The land of clouds, the palace of dreams, the place of flowers and dancing, the roomy seat under the rainbow, the fields of Aru, the highest of heavens. El Dorado, Tirnanog, and Eden not forthcoming, we must default back to our sagging and hobbling, huffing and wheezing, reconquering and taming, shuffling and bartering, consuming. Packaged tours, the white bread. Lead tours, the rice. The modern searcher must glutton themselves on naught but the hollow, but filling calories of what little is left of the golden fruits of this world. Thank you for listening to Experience the Culture, an original short story by me, Jared I. McGee. The first musical track in the background of the story comes from freemusicarchive.org and is by artist Broke for Free. The title of the track is Our Ego, featuring Different Visitor, and comes from their album Slam Funk. The track is being used under an Attribution 3.0 unported CC BY 3.0 license. The second sound you hear comes from freesound.org and is being used under a CC 0 1.0 Universal Public Domain Dedication license. That does it this week for Prose. And yes, more stories are coming your way. I know this episode is a little shorter than usual. Have no doubt. However, I wanted to stay on theme, and I do beg that you please be patient, as this is because I did not take a seasonal break. Tell them that you do in real life, and embrace this life as it begun to swell. Always. More stories are coming your way. Have no doubt. And I have some big surprises just over the horizon. Until next week, I hope that you'll remember to love those around you. Tell them that you do. And embrace this life as it is, always, stranger than fiction. Thank you for listening.